Que onda? Thanks for watching Doing Life with Jenny. If you're new here, I am a Spanish teacher in the US currently, but I'm building a house in the state of Hidalgo, Mexico. Last week we talked about things you need to know when you're living in Mexico, things that most people don't mention. Today we're doing the opposite, things you need to know before moving to Mexico or before moving abroad in general. These aren't necessarily Mexico specific. I think everyone probably knows that you need a visa to live in another country. If not, stop this because you need to take care of that first. I have a two-part video with my personal experience in getting my temporary residency for Mexico, but even if you find a video that was posted today, things could change by the time you go through it. It could change tomorrow, so just be ready to go with the flow. I'm not going to get super specific in this video. I'm just going to kind of hit the main points, and if there's a specific topic you want more detail on, let me know and I'll make a whole video dedicated to that. First, you do need to learn the language of the country you're going to. I know you can find communities of people that speak English, but I strongly advise moving there without knowing the language. And I already am planning on making a whole video dedicated to that topic and explaining why. But for now, I'll just say I think it's very dangerous going to live in a country not knowing the language. Next, you need to figure out your money situation. If you're going to Mexico, I would advise that you open an account there, but I wouldn't advise that you put all of your money there. So you need a way to easily transfer money from the US to Mexico. You need to find a debit and or credit card that avoid international fees. Again, if you want a whole video dedicated to this, just let me know in the comment section below. I just think it would be overwhelming to give detail on all of these topics. I just want to kind of know what it is you need to research and look back for later on. Sticking with the theme of money, you need to figure out your investments before you leave the States. You may or may not be able to continue to contribute to your investments while living abroad. I cannot make a video on this topic as I have no experience and there's a lot of research out there. And again, it varies too much person to person. Next, let's talk about all things medical. Be sure to get all of your medical records to take with you abroad. Even better if you take the time to get them translated before you leave or right after you arrive. You don't want to be in the midst of having a medical emergency and worrying about, wait, what did my doctor back home say about this? Or how can I get these records sent to Mexico suddenly? Take care of that while everything is calm and you have the time to do so. That brings us to medical insurance. Depending on what country you're moving to, maybe there's some kind of like free health insurance and or private health insurance, but you want to figure that out before you get there. Mexico has both. There are plenty of other YouTubes that have like comparison videos between the two, but you want to enroll in the public health care and or sign up for private health care before you get there, because it's too late to figure it out if you're already having an emergency or if you're very sick. Also, it's better to get it sooner than later because you never know what kind of chronic health issue might pop up later and that might prevent you from being able to get covered, or it might make your coverage more expensive. You'll also want to make sure that any medications you're currently on are available in your new country or that there's some kind of equivalent to it. All I did is on one of my many trips to Mexico, I wrote down the medications I was most concerned about. I swung by a pharmacy and just asked if they carried those. I did write down the actual name of the medication, not the brand name, and I had no issues. The pharmacist said that they carried all three. Next, figure out how you're going to get your mail. There are all kinds of virtual mailbox options. There are plenty of other YouTubers that have covered the topic. I do think it's wise of you to still have some kind of US address. There are many reasons why you might still need a US address. I'll mention two. If you're a temporary residency, you can take your car to Mexico, so you'll still need an address for your car to be registered to. And two, let's say you're getting your W-2. They have to have somewhere to send it because you're not physically there to receive it at your place of employment. So they'll send it to the virtual mailbox and then they'll email a copy of it to you and they can forward the physical copy if you need. But there are so many other reasons why you will still need a US address. Something that you might overlook is getting any important documents apostilled. To apostille in Spanish is apostillar. Basically, you need to go to your state's capital, or they might have another office or two throughout the state. I'm in Illinois, so they have an office in Springfield and Chicago. But I didn't need an appointment. I just showed up with my documents. They gave me this handy-dandy state document, and they basically verified that my documents were real, and they put this fancy sticker on it. And then once I got to Mexico, I had all of the documents translated, but it has to be an official translator for the state. You're looking for the word perito, which means like expert, to make sure they're qualified to translate these documents. What kind of documents am I talking about? Birth certificates, marriage certificates, divorce decrees, is that the right word? Death certificates, college transcripts, anything that you think you might need to like verify your identity or to get a job, anything of that nature. I am preaching to the choir here on this next one, but I suggest that you learn how to drive a stick shift car. I do not know. But if you're planning on driving in another country, a lot of countries still are very manual transmission heavy, Mexico included. In Mexico, I will say that automatic transmissions are becoming more and more common, but if you're planning on purchasing a car abroad or renting a car, stick shift usually is the default. And then the last thing, which is the most important that I don't think people are honestly doing, is live there before you live there. Maybe I'm getting the wrong impression because on YouTube you can like edit out things. You're not seeing the whole story. You're not seeing every moment of every day. But you kind of get the impression that these people go on vacation, fall in love with that area, and just move there. Going on vacation and actually living there are two very different things. I'm not trying to bash anyone, but you really can't know what it's truly like to live abroad if, let's say, you're from the US and you're going to Mexico, but you only hang out with other US or Canadian citizens. Or maybe you're a US couple and you go to Mexico and you just interact amongst yourselves. To really know if you're going to like it, you have to mingle with the local people. You have to experience life like outside of a vacation setting, outside of a vacation experience, because on vacation mode, like everything is kind of done for you. The Airbnb or the hotel takes care of things for you. Like unless you're actually living there, you don't know what it's like to like deal with day-to-day situations. Unless you're actually living there and interacting with the local people, you cannot fully understand if you like that destination or that country, that culture, and you might be in for a huge surprise and not in a good way once the newness wears off and you're no longer kind of like in vacation mode. Have I technically lived in Mexico? Questionable. However, I have gone there, I think like 20 times now, but it wasn't me like just going on vacation with my friends or just on vacation alone, seeing all the tourist sites. It was me going to stay at my now ex-husband's house. A Mexican family that spoke no English, in the middle of nowhere by most people's standards. I was the only American within miles and miles. Even if you're there, let's say you think a month trial is enough. If you're not surrounding yourself by the local people, it's basically like you're in the States, but you're on an adventure. I hope you found this video helpful. Again, if you want a more detailed video on one of these topics mentioned, not investments, again, not for me, let me know in the comments section. I really appreciate you watching today's video. If you'd like to continue and follow me in my journey in moving from the US to Mexico, be sure to subscribe and turn on the notification bell, and I would appreciate it if you can give it a thumbs up if you liked it.